Well, this is just a little look at our IBC pod, our little firefighting machine, and we have a 1,000 litre IBC pod which I can come back out and have a look. That's half full of water at the moment with a little bit of liquid fertiliser in it. And what I've done, I've just run a couple of little pieces of angle iron across the top here, and that's let me mount a small little 50cc Honda pump on it. And we have the C-Sol there, but the little pump, it's got 1.5 inch inlets and outlets on it, and yeah, look, it does the job nicely for what we need to do. I bought a neater, I'm just shifting the microphone around as I walk around. I bought a neater hose reel. It's a 3/4 hose, and we have a good outlet on it for firefighting. And look, I water the trees with it. That's how we know it's going to work each time. Every week it gets a run. You'll see a couple of ratchet straps down there. Well, the ratchet straps tie this to the forks. Now, I'll come around this other side a little bit, and we'll probably start this bit again. 3, 2. Well, this is the business side of the little firefighter unit. Now, all we have here is a ratchet strap tying that to the forklift. So, whenever we need to use it in a hurry, you can roar around and you haven't got to worry about it falling off. It's a safe thing. Now, on the bottom here, that's the inlet off the standard inlet with that white tap, and then that's a 2-inch pipe thread. And with that 2-inch pipe thread, we've brought a T out, and we go up to the inlet on the pump. Now, I have a tap there. I probably don't need a tap. It was just that I didn't have the correct fittings at the time, so that's what I used. That was my adapter. But what we need to do here is down this bottom end, on the lower end of that T, so down there, I need to put a cam lock fitting there and another tap. And the idea of that is that at the moment we can just take it over to the tank and we can fill it up out of the overhead tank, and we can fill it in around 4 minutes with an 1.5 inch poly pipe. But as our dams are dry, I've made it so on that T there, if we put a tap and a cam lock fitting, I can take it down to the local river. I can throw a pipe in and I can actually pump this full with its own pump. Being an IBC pod, I can also just put it in the back of my ute, and I can strap it into the back of my 4-wheel drive ute, and that gets me more area available than just with my old rocket forklift here. So we'll have a look at the plumbing here. Now, this is the inlet coming into the tank, and we have a T here. Now, this T comes along and goes down around into the fire reel here. So we can turn that off if we choose to. I put this manifold here on, and I can run a few hoses if we need to, and from time to time I have put a couple of hoses on there if I just wanted to run a little sprinkler, and I'll just leave the pump, if I want to water a tree in or something where there's no, we can't get a normal hose, I can put a couple of sprinklers on there. Pardon me. Now, this line coming down through here back into the top of the pod, that's just for circulation. So at the moment I'm using up a bit of C-Sol. We've got a new liquid fertiliser that we're selling, and so I'm just going to use this C-Sol up, and then we won't bother with that anymore. And so I can pour some of this liquid fertiliser into the tank, into the IBC pod, turn this tap here off and turn this one on, and what that does is that circulates any liquid fertiliser you'd like to put into your system. So you can actually put a liquid fertiliser solution anywhere on your property. You can, if you need to water a tree in, or you have something that's battling a bit, or like us in sandy soil, and the citrus trees need a little bit of extra fertiliser. So this circuit here, that's an agitation circuit. So it pumps out of the bottom there, up this pipe, through the pump, then back down. So it pulls it out of the bottom of the pod, and then it drops it back in there, just to mix it up. So what I do, when I have a, I put the sea salt in, or the liquid fertiliser of some sort in, and while we're travelling to where we're going with it, we do agitate as we go, and that keeps everything suspended. So it's a great little setup. I found it very handy for me. That little pump's big enough for what we need to do. I'm just kicking the shovel here. The light washes out there a little bit, but the IBC pod for the mount of the hose reel, we've just put a piece of angle iron underneath there. So look, it's very simple. We don't expect this to last forever, and it's just one of those things. But if it buggers up, you can spend 80 bucks, get a new IBC pod and put all this hardware on it again. And the benefit to us on our property is that we have a forklift here anyway, which is an old forklift from our workshops, and with the IBC pod we can travel around the property here with it. Pardon me. We can travel around the property here with it, and we can also slide it into the ute, and if we need it somewhere else, or if we run out of water completely and we need to bring water from town, we can do that with it. And we can also run down to the river and grab 1,000 litres at a time to keep our gardens alive. So it is one of our main firefighting units on our property here, but its major purpose as well is watering everything, making sure in this drought that we're having at the moment, just making sure everything's fine. And look, it's just maintenance water. It's nothing's growing particularly. We've given up on the veggie garden just at present, and this is just to keep the trees alive. We give them a water every week, and that keeps the leaves green. And when the weather changes again and we get plenty of rain, well, this won't be needed, but I'll still put it aside, and I'll still start it every week and give it its oil changes and all that. These little motors, they just take a straight 30 oil. There's a special oil for lawn mowers and things like that, so it takes that. And look, around every 40 to 50 hours, give it an oil change. This one here runs on unleaded fuel. We always use premium unleaded in it. That way you don't have a problem with the the white powder oxidising in the fuel tank. But because we use it regularly, we don't have that problem so much. But the little fuel tank on top there, that runs around 4.5 pods worth of water before we need to fill it up. But I often do have a little petrol tank on there as well. So there you go. Hope you found that a little bit of help. Oh, well, I suppose you know, but in case you don't, that's how you fill the pod. And that's just dam water that we're using, and that's where we pour the concentrated fertilisers. And with the agitation you could put granulated in, but you'd have to make sure it was agitating pretty well full smoke while you were doing that. But yeah, look, just for what we use it for, it's a great little setup. That manifold, that's just something I thought of. So you don't need this probably, but I chose to put it on there just to give me another option. So there you go. That's our little firefighting setup.